That's great. And speaking of narratives generally, I'm thinking about their narratives or the stereotypes of the strong black woman, the angry black woman, the welfare queen. How do you think those stereotypes about black women shape the mindsets and beliefs of service providers as a whole? From advocates, law enforcement, policymakers, and how do these stereotypes impact black survivors as well as black advocates access to resources and safety?
Um,
Kama, go
yeah,
ahead.
so it's so funny because I don't like using the word strong. I just feel like, that is a word we never hear. There was something that I was watching. Somebody sent it to me the other day, and it said something like, we never hear the strong white woman. We never hear the strong Hispanic woman. We never hear the strong Asian woman. Um, but they put this on us, the strong black woman. You can do it, you can do it. And so if we look historically, right, of our transition here, for those that transition here from Africa, um, that you have to endure all of this. We've endured a lot, so it doesn't necessarily mean we're strong. So I tell people in the mental, like when I'm having these conversations about, oh, I'm strong, or I can do this, it's okay to feel vulnerable at times. It's okay to express how you feel. It's okay to say, I need help sometimes. That doesn't necessarily mean I'm strong. So the word strong, I like to use the word resilient. I can be resilient to a lot of different things. I can endure a lot of different things, but the word strong, it puts a heavy pressure, a heavy weight that when I walk out this door, I cannot. You see, I speak with my hands. So I cannot speak with my hands because that can come off as an aggressive type of thing when you think of someone who's strong. Or if I raise the tone in my voice, I'm African. So, a lot of the times we talk very loud and people think that we're arguing. And oh my gosh, this is like, so when you talk about like law enforcement or you talk about other providers, oh my gosh, that's really scary. No, I want you to know this is how I talk. This is how I communicate. That doesn't necessarily mean that I'm violent or I am, I'm this aggressive type of woman. I'm a woman of passion. I'm a woman of wisdom, and I would like for everyone to hear and see this light that's shining through me. And so, I don't like using the word strong. That's just my personal preference. I want someone to say, "Oh my gosh, Kami, you're resilient," because then when I hear strong, it's like I have to. And a lot of the survivors that I've, dealt with, or experienced, or some of the clients that, I work with now, it's like I don't want to be strong. I don't want to feel like I have to do everything. And so that's where the vulnerability piece of, it's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel like you need assistance, or it's okay to cry sometimes. We walk around, our parents tell us, if you cry, I'm gonna, or this, or if you show any sort of weakness, it's looked at as something negative. And so as we go on this journey, or as we talk about or have this conversation, it's okay to be who you are. It's okay to feel what you're feeling. It's okay to express how you're feeling. And it doesn't mean that I am going to be aggressive. And it doesn't mean that what I'm saying is wrong. Because if we look at it from the law enforcement perspective, ma'am, calm down, calm down. No, I'm upset. I'm angry. I'm hurt. This is not right. No, calm down. You're doing too much. You're doing too much. And so a lot of people in that situation feel like, okay, you know what? Let me just be silent. Let me not say anything. Because if now I have to code switch, come in here and, put on the nice voice, and I have to, make sure I'm using the proper etiquette. I have to bring my tone down just a little bit and, have, and work through this community that is not me. So yeah, yeah, that's how I'm feeling about that.
Thank you. Yeah, Kama and I used to laugh all the time about, when folks would barge into an office thinking we're arguing with each other. We're like, no, we're just really excited having a conversation. Like we're just really talking about something that bothered us, talking about something that made us sad, but we're doing it authentically. And so I think sometimes that authenticity comes off as strange when folks haven't been immersed in culture, right? Dr. Moore Orby, go ahead.
Whew. I don't mean to simplify this in any way, but I can't help but say that entire question is just about white supremacy. And I hate to use that because we use it so much now, everything comes back to it. And so I don't even like to use it. But it is just a continued attempt at the white man to dehumanize Black women. And so if I can object to you in any kind of way, if I can take away your humanity in any way or several ways, then I don't have to treat you like a human being. And I can teach other people not to treat you like a human being. I can teach Asian and Indian and Japanese and Italian and everybody else to not treat you like even other women, to treat you like you're not a human being. And so, so for me, that's just to continue work at the white man to dehumanize women, to continue to use us as a tool, because that's what we are for them. We're just another tool in their tool belt to accomplish whatever goals they find us most effective at. And so that's one thing that is very important to me. I think the second thing I want to lift up is that again, I just got to tell truth, my truth, from the little part of the Black community I know. There are also words of survival. They are the words that we've used to give meaning to our own lives, give us reason to get up in the morning. Even though they may have been true, and even may they not have been true, maybe even if they've been used to actually dehumanize us, it's where we found strength to get up out of the bed and do what we needed to do. And so I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I feel like, somewhere in the Bible, it says, all things are yours. I don't know what they were talking about when they said that. And I've studied a lot of theology, but I've decided for me, it means literally that. All things are mine. I get to take everything and use it how I need to use it when I need to use it. And so, yes, what the white man meant for harm, I can take that and use it as a tool for myself. But yes, do we have to be careful because other people take those words and weaponize them? Yep. Just like even resilience, I can't stand it when, I have to be honest, I can't stand it when a white person says about Black people, or children, they're so resilient. No, they're not, because in their mind, what they're thinking is they can handle anything. They'll come back from everything. No, that's not true. You can't treat them any kind of way, give them any kind of resources because you think they're resilient and they'll overcome it and they'll be all right. No, that's not true. So even resilience, I struggled just like my sister struggles with strong. I struggle with resilience. But there are some days when I have to tell myself so that I don't hurt nobody else.
Come on.
Nobody else.
Come on.
I'm resilient. And so, yeah. So all the language, yes, has been weaponized, created as weapons to be used against us. But there are times when we can take that language and use it for ourselves, for what we need in that moment.
Thank you. Clemma, did you want to add there? I have a question for you in just a second.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
You can hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, I want to add that I agree with both of the other panelists, but I think it's important for us to understand that using the term strong and keeping it, it's intergenerational. It's that internalized racism that we've been taught all our life. And how do you unteach it? It goes back to what was said earlier. It's about our conversation. And if we want to change the language so they won't keep using it against us, then we have to be the ones to change it. But we're working with survivors, for myself, almost 40 years now. Whatever language they need to use at the time, that's the language I support. If that would help them get to the police station with me, file a police report, get their restraining order, what they need to get there, my role is to support it in whatever language they needed at the time. The advocates and the other court system people need to understand, if she comes in there angry, if she crying, if she not crying, if she laughing, that's because who she is. Everybody is different. It has nothing to do with why she's coming there because she's been abused. And my issue has been us being so judgmental about the survivors that we're working with. So we got to look internally at our own stuff while we trying to project to them. That's my take on that one.
I love how you said judgmental. I think that is definitely something that as a culture and as women, we tend to do. And again, historically, if we go back to the, coming on that boat over here and categorizing, the light skin versus the dark skin, the house, the field, all of those things, that generational curse, it definitely trickles down into our everyday. Yes, the brown paper bag. Yes, the brown paper bag. It's definitely something. So I like how you use that judgmental, because we need to be open and accept people for who they are. I saw somebody said, just be. Can I just be? Yeah, just let me be who I am. So I like that.
And since this is a conversation, I'm going to go ahead and I see a hand up. Kalima, if you want to share.
Yes, thank you so much. This is a space that is sacred. And there is rarely ever a time where we as Black women get to come together and talk about the work. And I'm from Detroit, and I am the executive director and founder of Sasha Center, which is a sexual assault agency specifically working with the African American community. I am also the creator of the Black Women's Triangulation of Rape model that went viral probably about 2 years ago, where it was retweeted like 8,000 times. One of the things that I want to say in this space with my sisters, because I feel safe, is that not only are we doing the work, but we are the work.
Yes.
And so if we are the work, and if we're doing the work at the same time, what white supremacy standards have done to us is made us think about those as two separate things. And they are intertwined, connected, and they can never be divided. I am doing the work, and I am the work. I am the work, and I'm doing the work. And so I want to say to all of us in this space that while white supremacy standards, while oppression, while marginalization, microaggressions, and all those things try to keep us from doing what we do it anyway. And I want to encourage us all to do it anyway. We have to. We don't have a choice. Looking at last Sunday and looking at 2 days ago, we don't have a choice. We have to do it. And so I wanted to unmute myself just to say that there is rarely a space where it's just us. There's rarely a space where I get to see Black women in leadership doing this work. And the white women, they ain't getting it. They are not getting it. And they keep on saying, well, we don't know. But the fact that you don't know is not enough. And so I'm gonna say this to all of us. Going forward from this day on, I want to encourage us all, don't let them off the hook. Tell them it's their work. And then continue to stay in spaces for us, by us, with us. Even if that means some funding just don't fit for us. Even if it means that. So I want to say to our panelists, I want to say thank you for just having this safe space, because I've been in Zooms all day and I've been the only one Y'all know what it's like.
Oh,
Helping
yeah.
older ones.
Mhm.
And I want to say, Kima, I want to say to Elise, thank you. I want to say to Ayana, thank you for this space because it is so important. It is so important. And if you all are not familiar with the model, the Black Women's Triangulation of Rape, please take a look at it. It was my gift to the universe. Folks are mad that it wasn't my dissertation, but it's about to be.
Okay.
Come through. Come on through.
It's about to be because I start my PhD work in the fall, and I'm going to let the model that informed me from Black women who have been doing the work for years. Black women who have been doing the work for years. See, we keep on trying to explain to people how we show up, but we know that in most situations, Black women, us, we sometimes share our trauma using humor, irony, and satire and signification.
Yes.
And if we don't make that a normalized a way that Black women show up, we're going to continue to keep asking for permission. We're going to continue to keep asking for them to accept us as we are. And I'm like, no, if she want to crack a joke about her rape, I'm here for it. If she want to tell a story about her rape connected to an urban legend, I'm here for it. If she wants to talk about her sexual assault, trauma, or whatever, as it relates to, let's say, I don't know, an Orisha, let her do it.
Yes.
Let her do it. And don't apologize for it, y'all. We have to start pushing back and telling white folks to do their own work. Do your own work. We here doing the work because we are the work.
Come through.
We're not trying to be sitting up trying to educate y'all on how y'all need to understand us. I understand what she's saying. If you don't, that ain't my business.
Come through. No, come through.
Well, listen. Listen. So I have lots of questions that I want us to get through. I know, like, this is gonna have to be. We're gonna have a part 2 at some point.
I'm about to press mute right now.
We're gonna have to, bring this back when we have the cookout. The cookouts going forward. But I think you brought up a lot of really great points, especially about the triangulation of rape, especially about advocates' experiences, managing leadership, advocates' experiences, trying to get folks to understand Black culture generally. I've been in spaces where I've had leadership say, well, I'm really glad you're here because you're Black. And it's like, well, what happens when I leave? Like, you should really get to know Black people if you're going to do this work, get to know us on a deeper level. And so, go ahead, Kama.
No, I was agreeing. I'm sorry. I forgot.
Oh, no. But even that, like, even things like that, right? To be able to understand call and response, be able to understand like those very significant cultural nuances. Like, folks really need to get to know Black people better. And so I'm thinking about the next question I want to go to. How have elements like anti-Blackness, implicit bias, and xenophobia even impacted Black survivors' mental health? Clemma, you want to start?
Yeah. You saying how, and say it again right quick, I'm sorry.
How anti-Blackness, implicit bias, or xenophobia have impacted Black survivors' mental health?
Well, easy. By watching TV, by watching all of the drama that takes place when Black men and women are pulled over by the cops and seeing how they're being treated publicly, seeing how survivors are treated when they go inside of agencies and social services and the police department and the criminal justice court and see how they're treated and those systems as well. All of that impacts the mental health and how you respond to your own issues of either domestic violence or sexual assault. We seeing it, traumatizing and living it every day, but we expect Black survivors to be immune, to pretend none of this is going around. You don't think that if she got beat up today, and these are work survivors, she got beat up today, or she was raped today, and then she got to go to court and testify against that Black man. She has to take on that whole guilt thing about, here I go, back to the slave days. I'm putting this brother away. Now, this brother then violated me, and I love him to death, and he might come out and do it again. But am I a part of the system helping him, or am I helping myself? So if that's not traumatizing us as Black women, I get it all the time because of the work I do. as a woman of color, and thank God I'm in a Black community. But when I go outside of it and I engage, especially with men, about they don't have a right, was it a white or Black man, to rape me, put their hands on me and mistreat me, or no other Black women, I always get this back, oh, you just one of them white feminists that trying to destroy us and put us down. How do survivors mentally survive when they need to take care of themselves and protect themselves, but you got a whole culture, including our own, and a system that's telling them not to do anything and to let it go, and they're going to get over it because their mother got over it and their grandmother got over it. And so they must do the same. How do they navigate as a woman of color mental health when they're being fed all these different messages?
Come
Other
through,
thoughts?
come through, come through. Come through. That was powerful. I'm Angela Lee. I work for the National Domestic Violence Hotline. I'm the Love is Respect Director. I'm so grateful to be in this space. I hope I didn't interrupt you, Ayana.
No,
Go ahead.
Is that Clemma?
That's Clemma.
Yeah.
Clemma, this Angela. What's up?
Hey!
We gotta connect, Clemma. We gotta connect. But anyway, that's another story. Oh my God, that's Clemma. Check this out. I think for me, working, like, my organization is shifting, right? But do any of y'all on this platform ever feel like, okay, yeah, I got this position, but I know I'm a token, right? Maybe I'm not supposed to say that. I ain't supposed to say that. But
No, you can say that.
It's real.
Okay,
It's real.
safe space, right? This is a safe space, right?
Yeah.
The good news about my organization, and I love the mission, I love the values, I love the work I do. I've been there 11 plus years. I really do. And I love helping young people, because I didn't have that. But when we think about racism and we think about all these extreme, I don't even know the right freaking word to use, dislike, hate, bullshit, you name it. I hope it's safe for me to say that. But when you think coming from a survivor aspect, just like Clemma said, come on now, gaslighting, right? Making you think you crazy. And then when you contact the police, y'all already said it. My culture, I holler when I get excited. I holler when I get angry. I'm passionate. I'm moving my hands. And they already, there's already labels here, right? That, you tall or you big, or don't put a little scratch trying to defend yourself on the other person. We're already in a box that's not supportive. So when you're dealing with all this and having to deal with what comes after leaving, and I can only speak on abusive relationships, after leaving an abusive relationship, of course we feeling mentally disturbed. Of course we've been on an emotional roller coaster. And I hate the word culturally competent. I think we need to be more responsive. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the missing element. But I also feel like, there's so many intersections and layers that need to be unpacked. Our religion might be very strong. I grew up in a very strict religious home. And I chose, I'm part of the LGBTQ plus community. So I got shunned by my community as far as religion. That doesn't mean that I don't believe in that, but you understand what I'm saying? That pushed me to suicide attempt. I'm a survivor of suicide, so I know firsthand. Like my psychiatrist told me I suffer with situational depression. Hell, don't certain situations depress you too? You understand what I'm saying? But I think we cannot just say, put our Black women, our beautiful queens, in a box and not understand what got us here, right? Sometimes what keep us here, I'm so tired of apologizing, it makes me sick sometimes, right? But understanding the root of the cause of the mental health, of the depression, of the resistance to wanting to stand up and be seen. Just, yeah, I don't even know if that made sense, but you just got me on fire, so I had to say that. I love this.
Yeah, go ahead, Clemma. I know you wanted to add something.
No, I was saying everything she was saying, including the drugs, the alcohol, everything we do to ourselves to try to be safe and try to make ourselves okay for the community. She just said it. We really have to look at how we treat our own people, I like to say that over and over. All the Black advocates or advocates of color on this call, you really got to look deep within and see what role are you playing in re-victimizing the survivors that we working with. Because sometimes we do things and we don't even realize we're doing it because of the system and the role we have to play in the system. I think Angela said it earlier that, you know, a lot of women of color that got positions in the system, we know they token, but not because they token do you have to be the token. You get in there and you do the right thing for us. Because that's what we've been doing all our life.
And I just want to just piggyback off of that. Like when we talk about the transparency, you know, I'm really big on transparency. So when we're talking about this token person that's, you know, sitting, oh, you got this position. Oh, okay, good. You're going to help, you know, help me out, you know, or whatnot. Well, let's talk about that, you know. Let me be real. This is what's really going on. Let me break it down. Let me tell you what they're not telling you, you know. And this is when we're talking to like survivors or any of my clients. I'm saying, well, I understand, you know, well, they told me I had to do this. No, let me break it down for you a little bit more. This is what they're not telling you. And I'm very specific and that's what we need to be, very specific in giving them the ins and outs, because everybody else is getting these handouts. Everyone else is getting these short backhand shortcuts and things like that. And when we're in positions, I'm going to say of power or of change, you know, when we are put in these positions of change, we need to be open and transparent about making those changes and to help our community. That's how we're able to get these mass resources out and supporting one another. And Angela, yes, Queens, love it, all of that. We, you know, we have to be supportive of one another and be open. And I thank you for sharing that, because, you know, I've been put in situations where I'm like, you know, like, well, you know what, Kama, you know, this would be a great position because you understand them. Understand who?
Right.
Come on now.
Just because our skin colors is the same does not necessarily mean I understand them. So how about we go together and talk with everyone and have that conversation, and you know, get to know each other. And you know, and when they do that, or they'll look, I'm like, well, I don't know. I mean, you tell me. You have all these PsyDs and PhDs. You know, you tell me what cultural competency did you learn? You know, and then of course it's like, oh, Kama. No, I'm being real. I'm coming as my authentic self.
That's
and
it.
this is me, unapologetic. I do not apologize. And you know, we go from there. But I appreciate that, Angela. That was definitely on the point. That hit me right there.
So I think we're there, right? Like we're right at that moment that we just need to go ahead and talk about microaggressions and how they impact Black advocates. It would be great if someone could start us out just with like a quick explanation of what a microaggression is, just so we all have the same language, or a quick example of how it shows up.
And Yana, I can give it a try.
I hope
I'm sorry, I'm not on the panel. Let me be quiet.
No, but I definitely want your feedback too. Don't worry.
I actually want to go back to one of the statements that Kalima made, because it's so important to me. It's going to be the most important thing to me that I say today. I've been saying it for years. I'm going to keep saying it. I'm going to say it again today. When it comes to Black community, and it comes to Black women, there is no such thing as survivors and advocates, clients and service providers. We are all survivors. And the things that we have been telling clients and survivors they need, we all need. We have been hoodwinked into thinking, because we took some training or got a degree or whatever, because we moved up the road a piece, whatever little thing we did, that now we don't need, because we've arrived. And so now it's our job now to give to those who don't have. And I'm here to say, all of us don't have. And we need what all of us need every day.
Absolutely.
And once again, I'm just gonna make it plain. I'm gonna simplify because I'm at that place in my life.
Come on.
What we all need is love.
Mm.
They got us hoodwinked into believing that it's them and us. Ain't no such thing.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
That they need all these things and we don't.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to tell you that all those things, we can check those boxes, but if ain't no love up in there, ain't no transformation. And I don't even like to use that word because it's a white word, but I'm trying to say that healing that needs to happen in the whole person is not happening. The only thing that heals the whole person is love. And if we're not loving each other, all that checking the box stuff doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
That we're still being held hostage by this crazy ass thinking that has been imparted to us. So when we start talking about, I hate to quote this guy because he's a white guy, but it's probably the brightest thing he ever said. He said, a lack of love acts upon the mind as the ocean on the shores. A lack of love chisels away all that we are as human beings. And the things that happen to us, because we're all survivors as Black folk, that shit chisels away at our humanity. And we then love ourselves less because we see ourselves less. And then we love ourselves less. And therefore we see each other as less and we love them less. And all this box checking shit we're doing means diddly squat if we're not being healed, being made whole, being able to live our full human selves. That's what it's all about. Yeah. So whether we're doing survivor services or we're doing mental health services or housing services, I don't care what all those services are, that's all checking the box. If we're not doing this work from a place of love, beginning with loving ourselves, that the reason you get up and do what you do is because you love yourself so much that you can't help but do it. And then when you do that with your people, you do it because you love them so much, not because you agree, understand, support whatever thinking they have, not any of that, but because you know you and them are one and you ain't got nothing for them but love. Yep. We have got to get, we survived slavery because of love. It was self-love that got us out of slavery, that gave us the ability to survive the plantation for 200 years. Love did that. Not resources, not services. Love of self and one another. We have got to get there. That is where our freedom lies. That is where our healing lies. Loving ourselves so that we can love one another.
Come through.
That was the deepest, simplistic answer I've ever heard.
Look, I'm about to go love up on me in a second. About to go look in the mirror and then say, I love myself today. Yes. I just got boosted. Thank you for that.
So, Kalima, I know you did want to add anything.
White people have minimized, I'm going to be prejudiced for a minute. White people have minimized love because they don't know nothing about it. So none of the strategies that comes out of school, training, education gives us love as a strategy because they don't believe in the power of love.
Well, they don't teach.
They don't know what love can do.
Yeah,
we know that.
Yeah.
All of our strategies and approaches ought to begin with love because we know that's the true thing that makes it happen.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop.
Thank you. Clemma?
Yes.
Did you have anything you wanted to
add? Not to that. You were asking us, had you moved on to another question or we?
Oh, asking about, right, we all got caught up. Asking about microaggressions and what, Black advocate survivors are experiencing in programs.
Well, what I see that as is insults directed at advocates and people that's working with survivors based on the fact that they're Black. They're usually insultive and they're usually subtle in the workplace. We don't have it as much here again because the community is predominantly Black. But we do have what I like to call internalized racism, where we insult each other. People look alike. We all look alike, and we do things like insult people like me who work in the movement, insult my workers who support survivors, go to court with them. We're, picking them up, dropping off. So we get called all kind of names. We get threats on a regular basis. We're told all things going to happen to us, and we're all the same color. So it's pretty insulting, but I guess it would look a little different from up there than it would us down here. But we still get it. We just get it from people that look like us. That's where that love piece come in.
There it is.
I would like to sprinkle that on all of them that be coming up in my face with crap. Just throw them some love and keep it moving.
Yeah.
And
White folks practice microaggressions because they hate us. Black folk, we do it to each other because we don't love ourselves, so we can't love each other.
That's my point. That's right. We do it to each other because we love ourselves. That's back to the love.
Knowing the self-worth, absolutely.
So what might be some strategies that folks can use, specifically thinking about advocates doing this work, to ensure that services are starting to become more culturally relevant, or their approach is culturally relevant and culturally humble as well?
Repeat that again.
Yeah, so what are some strategies that advocates or folks in this work can do to ensure that services are actually becoming more culturally relevant and humble as well?
So I would say for me in the work that I do, and the population that I serve in this community here in Montgomery County, Maryland, I think it's all about being transparent, and providing all of the necessary information. I stressed a lot. I'm moving jobs too. Just that's a side note, but because of all of this, but part of it is, we talk about these trainings, and these trainings are not represented by us. These trainings are done by, white women, especially, and they have this, I want to help out kind of vibe to it. So it's not genuine. And so how it comes off is like a pity, like, oh, you need to know this about this Black kid because, this is happening. And, they don't have the big T traumas. Well, what's the big T trauma? Talk to me about that, because, if I can recall, it doesn't matter what the trauma is. I am a big T trauma. I walk the way I walk, the way I speak. And I had to, I'm just thinking about this moment. This is just some like flashback that just got me there. But I had to sit one of these interns down, and I had to explain to her, like, well, what do you mean by big T trauma? Because if I can recall, this young woman is coming from a home that, she's experienced a lot of losses. She's experienced the loss of a father. She's in a single mother household. She's lost a lot of family members, not just by death, but by being incarcerated. To me, that can be a big T, or is a big T trauma. She's, how she's demonstrating or displaying her frustration with, her counterparts is, showing that, that was a big impact. So, for you to tell me that that's not a big T trauma because she was a young girl of color, I found that to be very insulting. And she was like, oh, well, I didn't know. I said, well, how about we talk about what you learned and what's real? And, we got these books. Who taught us these books? We have these white men that, are these philosophers we learn about, and we take it in, but as a provider, or as a survivor, as an advocate, as me, because I'm gonna say just being me, you know, I've tweaked it to add that cultural piece that, you know, that no one ever wants to talk about, no one ever wants to bring up, because they, you know, it comes off as a pity party. No, let's talk about it. Let's have the conversation. Let's learn about everyone's culture. You know, I'm Liberian. You know, a Liberian person is different from someone from Nigeria. Their experience is different. You know, I'm first generation here in America. So my, you know, my father's journey to this country is obviously different than mine, but then it's also different than my cousin's journey to America about 15 years ago. So when we talk about knowing, or I know someone that lives in Southeast DC. I grew up here in Montgomery County. Our cultures are totally different in terms of, you know, what we're seeing around us, what we're hearing. All of those things, you know, make up some type of traumatic event for us. So how that, you know, how that comes out as, you know, well, we have to focus on, you know, like, oh, they're suicidal today, or, you know, they want to cut themselves. Well, everybody cuts themselves. You know, there's people, there's kids of all colors that do that. And I think that we kind of miss the point where we don't look at one another as, you know, individuals, and we focus on what we learned in our books and what we're hoping to gain from that. You know, oh, I want to help out. Well, help out everyone, and just being more informed about all the cultures. So that's all I got to say about that.
And oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to jump in and say, because the culture piece is, I feel is big. And I feel that it's important when we're working with survivors that we understand where they're coming from culturally, because it's not no one fix for everybody. And so what I have trained my staff to do and how we work is we take the victim where they are, the survivor where they are, and we work with them from there. What is it? Is this okay? What is in your culture that's different from mine? Because it really makes a difference in how they respond to you, how they respect you, when they know that at least you're being sensitive. Even if you don't know everything, you're trying to learn. So one of the things I do in my agency for the other advocates, I try to make sure that my staff is made up from people from different places, whether it's from St. Kitts, Nevis, New York, St. Croix, St. Thomas. But I like to call our office that kind of melting pot, because we have people from all over that come through there. And there's nothing like walking in a place and somebody could relate to you based on a food, based on clothing, based on the words you said, based on something I'm feeling. That all plays in how well we work with survivors. And to me, that culture piece is critical. It's critical as whether you're an advocate or survivor, you're working with them. We all need to be sensitive. I think it was said well, we all have something different, and we all have cultures. All our cultures are different. You can be in Chicago West Side and different from Chicago South Side.
Yes.
What's important is different. I think about it. I mean, really. So what's important, though, is to be respectful about that and have that conversation about where that person is and what they need. When we send when we send our women to the states, we call it the states, to shelters or other programs, they don't last because the programs up there don't get it. They don't eat rice like we do every day, and they don't eat chicken. They don't do it. I mean, it sounds simple, but it's enough for the women to pack their bags and come back home. And so I just think, I thought that was important to say to the advocates and survivors here that's listening. People, culture, where they come from, their mindset, how they heal, how they move on, it's all wrapped up in that. And it's really about just listening, being open, being sensitive, and meeting them where they are and learning from them. What you don't know, you can learn. It only enrich your spirit and soul as well. And I just think that's important.
Thank you. So I'm thinking from, you know, just what you were saying, what are folks using then? Like, what's been helpful for folks in their journey in this work to stay grounded, to stay in this work, to, you know, be able to have that self-love? What resources have people used, or what strategies have people used to, you know, keep themselves going in this?
what's really been key for me is humility.
Mhm.
And when advocates ask me, what can you tell me at least 25 years later? What can you tell me? That's what I say, humility. Humility is the best practice you can have. Um,
Mhm.
Humility allows you to identify your humanity with their humanity. It automatically flattens the field, and the survivor experiences that energy in the room or on the Zoom, that you don't consider yourself better or different than they are, that you understand where they are. And so humility is key. And the second one for Black folk is ability to tell story.
Mm.
You got to be able to tell some of your story so that the other person doesn't feel like they're the only one got bad story. They're the only ones had negative experiences. You got to be willing to be vulnerable, to tell your story so that you make the human connection. And then when you do that, then the person has a little trust in you, has a little hope in you and whatever it is else you bring. Then when you bring those skills and those tools and resources to the table, they will invest a little bit. They'll try a little bit. They'll trust a little bit of that. They first have to be won over by you, though. And that begins with humility, first and foremost, and storytelling.
And
Kayla?
I'm gonna second that storytelling because I love a good story. And I love a good story. And that's why I said, for me, with the clients and the population that I serve, it starts with a conversation. I'm not better than
Mhm.
you're not better than me. Let's talk about this. Um, and so the storytelling and then the transparency, truth about self. Like, you know, um, I get up every morning, I tell my girls, I got 3 young little princesses. And, we get up in the morning, crust in the eyes, teeth stinky, breath, whatever you want to say, the morning look. We go in the mirror and we say 5 positive things that we see in that mirror. And that's how we start our day. That's what I bring to my clients in my private practice when I'm working with them. I want you to look in the mirror and I want to see that authentic self. Who are you? Who is the real Kama? Who is the real Ayana? Who is the real Elise? Like those are the things you look in the mirror and you say, hey, you know what? I like my nose today. It's a little shiny, the bright, the sun hit it, the little sweat from the nighttime, maybe a little slobber on it, but I'm still fly as I walk out this door. So that's that empowering piece. And then going back to that self-love, that contributes to that self-love and just empowering yourself. So those are the things that I keep with myself to allow me to be grounded in the moment and just ground me every day as I walk through this journey, because it's a healing journey. I don't call my therapy sessions. We on a healing journey. Are you ready to accept this journey? Because we're going to be talking about things that you may not be comfortable talking about. I'm going to challenge that, because this is your safe space. Yeah, I'll use some of those techniques here or there, but this is your safe space and this is our journey together. So if you're ready to go on this journey together, we'll do it together. If you're not, you're not, but I'm going to challenge you, because that's a part of how you will be able to heal moving forward.
Thank you.
Yeah, I
Clemma,
like that.
what's worked for you?
Yeah, I was thinking about that as they were speaking, because I think I'm going on 41 years now doing this work with survivors, both domestic violence and sexual assault. I think what works for me is being able to connect with other people like me that understands and gets it. And we do it from our heart because we know it's a civil rights stuff, it's a human rights issue. And when you can connect with somebody that gets it, having somebody to be able to talk to and unload while you're doing this work, because this work all these years really wear and tear on your spiritual soul, your family, your life, and everything. So you have to have those outlets. You have to find something in your life that you can always have, no matter how, if things get good or bad. The whole piece about humility and connecting with survivors. What helps me is when a survivor comes back to me 20 years later, believe it or not, it's a small community, with her family, or she's grown, or she sends a donation or a check-in and said, I'm doing this because you all were there for me, and I want to help the next sister. I want to be there for somebody because somebody was there for me. Those are the things that keep me in the work, and know that the work is important and gives me the strength to keep moving in this work. And we need each other. You can't do the work in isolation. So those is out there by yourself, it have to be hard. So if you got to reach out over a phone, over the new Zoom, the video, find somebody that you can have a support system to help you do this work, because we all need it. We all need that, so that our mental health will stay intact, so we can continue to do what we're doing.
Absolutely. It's really, I always joke with folks, but I collect friends all over the country, all over the world, because especially in this work, like, you need some support. You need some folks you can kiki with. You need some folks you can rant with. You need folks you can vent with. You need folks that are going to be like, no, Ayana, this is what you need to look up today because it's going to improve what you're doing. Like, you need all those people. Yeah. So I think that's really, really an important reminder for us. I do want to open it up. We have a couple discussion questions for the audience as well. So this is the time where folks can take themselves off of mute more, or again, participate in the chat. But I wanted to go ahead and start. I'm gonna skip that question. I want to get to the second one. Our question: what conversations are you having in your organizations or in the field about what Black advocates need? Or are you not having those conversations? And then really thinking about how both inequity and equity are showing up in your workspaces. Anyone want to share?
Black advocates need Black organizations led by Black women and men, but I said it in the order that I thought about it.
Thank you. Other folks? Other thoughts?
Yeah, I think that so when I was at Women Color Network for 10 years, that was the main part of my work, was listening to Black advocates and what their needs are and were. Unfortunately, they have not changed. But one of the things, I want to just make a distinction is that Black women advocates working in mainstream organizations have a whole world of needs that don't necessarily exist in a Black organization or a culturally specific organization. And sometimes they do overlap, because sometimes we find culturally specific organizations that have internalized, the institutional ways and continue that oppression within their organization. I think when that happens, that's even more harmful to Black advocates, when they think that they're safe in their space, and then they find out that they're not. And so one of all the many things in pages of what I think Black advocates need, one of the things that I think is most important for Black advocates, whether they're in mainstream or in a culturally specific program, I think that they need constant access to ongoing platforms that provide them the ability to stop and practice whatever self-care they need to do in that moment. We are, the work that we do is trauma-filled work. We get traumatized in the work. We often live in communities that are full of trauma. So it's just all around us. We need to be able to stop several times throughout the day without having to explain to people or ask permission, without having to dig through our purse or our backpack, be able to go right to the button, the platform, the phone, whatever it is that is available. But we need to have multiple things available where we can stop and practice self-care right then and there throughout the day. To me, that is our greatest need.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's a good point. Could I just add something when the speaker mentioned earlier about the women of color? I remember when we started the women of color, that had to be over 30 some years ago. Myself and Nita Carter, who has now
Yes.
passed, and some other people.
Yes.
The reason we started, I was one of the founders right there with Nita. One of the reasons it was started is because of conversations like we have now. Black women feeling isolated. Back in the day, I had a co-director with me who was white, but we were co-directors, and trust me, we were equal as co-directors, but everybody thought it was weird back in the day. She's now gone on, and I'm the ED by myself, but the whole reason for that is that everywhere we would go, whatever workshops or meetings, we would always meet some Black women, young, older, whatever, that would pull us to the side and say, we need to talk to somebody. We need to have a conversation. We need to know, how do we survive? So here we are, how many years later, and that's still the conversation we have in the day. So this conversation piece here, maybe it needs to be every month on a regular basis. Maybe people can host it differently, but I think it's so crucial for us to have a platform. Like Angela came on and said, is this a safe space? Can I say whatever I feel? Regardless of what position or wherever you are, you should be able to come on and say what you feel and know you got women here that got your back and support you, and it's okay to say what you need to say. That's going to make us healthy and help us, because we're going to get it out, because holding it in is not very healthy. So we need as many of these platforms as possible, and other ones similar, so that we can have this conversation, because this conversation I've been in the movement 41 years, and this conversation been going on for 41 years. What is that saying to us?
Yes.
What is that saying?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so if folks have thoughts, if folks have thoughts on other ideas or other strategies that they use that you want to put in the chat box, please feel free. If folks want to shout out their mentors in the work, please feel free. I think it's really important that we make sure we're sharing our contact information. We're getting together. We're making sure that we're just connecting, just touch base with each other. I haven't seen Kama in person in a few years, but we always just reach out every now and then. Hey, sis, how you doing? What's going on? How you feel?
Check in. Yeah.
Check in, and just see what's going on with folks in this work. It can be very, very isolating, and like Clement just said, we're having the same conversations for the last 40 years. So some things need to change, and we really need to make sure we're tapping into that. I want to give a few more moments just to open it up for folks who have additional questions or comments, suggestions, feedback. This is your time.
I want to say something about Ujima. I want to say, I'm going to say we. We've gone through, we have gone through, many reiterations or iterations of the organization. We have had funding snatched from us, had our leadership challenged, been through hell and back. And still Ujima rises. And so I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for continuing to hold the torch, for running the race against all the odds, for fighting for us, for fighting for those of us out in the grassroots, those at the state level, those at the national level. Ujima, the Institute on Domestic Violence and African American Community, has been holding place for us and fighting for a place for us for so many years. And I just want to say thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. We really this is family. Like we're doing this together. This is community. And so to have you all be able to be in space with us and have these conversations and be as authentic as you all are, it's a lot of love in the room, and really, really appreciate it. So I thank you. Other folks, comments, thoughts?
Yeah, I think thank you is definitely in order as well. But I think what's important is if y'all struggling and something, they pulling and mess with you, you better use this group, call on us.
Yes.
Don't do it by yourself. Use us. Call us and say, look, I need a letter. I need this, whatever. Let us be your support because you're our support. Don't try to do it in isolation because we don't want to lose you all. And we know this system have a way of eating up Black folks, kicking them out and throwing them out, especially if they thinking they having a place at the table that they shouldn't be at the table. So if you need us, y'all need to reach out to us as well so we can help hold you up because this is such an important forum. So I know I'm speaking for all other women that's on this call. We here for y'all. Let us know because this is important, very important for the work.
Thank you. And you know I will, Clemma. You see how fast I connected with you after our last call we had. So yes, for sure. Andrea?
Am I okay? Hi.
Hi.
Thank you so much for this brave space and sharing. And I'm just naturally curious, like, why aren't we having more of these conversations and how can we facilitate them? Because they're needed.
Mm.
So that's a great question. I feel like we need to have these conversations every day. Like I would love to. You know, I think that for us, it's just about building out these spaces and making sure we have the resources we need to be able to foster these conversations. But for us, it's really important to have them. So like I said, we have these coffee and conversation series. We have our regular webinars that we do. And then we have the cookout that's, again, intentionally designed for Black advocates only in that space. Okay. And so they're ongoing. They're coming for sure. And definitely with, you know, our family members, our kinfolk that are on the call with us here, there are more conversations to be had for sure. So stay tuned. It's coming. You. We're doing a lot over here. So I see a comment. Is there a way we can have a list of contact information be sent to everyone? I would like to collaborate on some future projects. The easiest way to probably do this is we can probably pull the registration, but if folks want to just drop their contact information, their preferred way to get contacted in the chat, we will save it and make sure, who's ever putting their information in there, that you're comfortable with it getting shared out. But yes, we can. And Angela, please make sure you drop your information in the chat as well. I have an idea that I want to talk to you about. See, this is the great thing about being able to be in these spaces. Like you meet folks, you gain friends, you gain family, and then we can really keep building out this work together. And so I just want to give last thoughts, last comments to our panelists. Kema, do you want to start?
I just want to say that this was definitely a space that I needed, and just being able to just be me, just be. I'm a hashtag that, just be. Like, I've experienced a lot, and to be able to be in a space with people that look like me, and now working with Onyx, and being with women that look like me, that love on me, and I'm able to love on them, and allowing me the autonomy to do what I do with the wonderful people that I serve is a joy. And Ayana, I want to thank you for allowing me to be here today and have the opportunity. Everyone on here, even though I'm not seeing the faces, I'm hearing the voices, I'm reading the things in the chat. You all are amazing, and I thank you for just allowing me to be in this space. Y'all just don't know this. I'm feeling good right here, like just this, all of this Black and brown beauty, like, is just wonderful, and I appreciate it. So thank you. Onyx Therapy Group, woman-based, LGBTQ plus, community friendly, veteran owned. We are doing it here in Washington, D.C., Maryland, We are in Minnesota. We're branching out to other places where we are providing services to people that look like us. And yeah, we're here for it.
Thank you. And Kayla, make sure you drop your contact information in the chat too. Clemma, do you want to give your final thoughts?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for letting me be a part of the panel. Kind of feel like one of the elders in the group. I think it's important, though, we continue the conversations. Love to everybody on the call. If you ever need any support or anything, I can't do the chat because I'm on the phone, but you can get my information from Angela and them if you need it. I'm here. I want us all to be here for each other. I want us to continue this work because guess what? The Black survivors need us, really need us. So thank you all for out there. Everybody that's doing the work, thank you, blessings, and plenty of love. Thank you.
Thank you. And Vicky, can you please drop Clemma's contact information in the chat when you get a second?
Yep, on it right now. It'll be up in just a second.
Appreciate you.
Thank
And
you.
then
Really, you made my heart smile. I'm so glad to hear from you. I'm gonna contact you. I'm sorry, y'all.
and then I'm gonna go ahead and give the final word to our wonderful Reverend Dr. Moore Arby.
Mm-hmm.
So kind. Thank you. I want to first say I'm grateful. When I got the invitation, I was like, oh, they didn't mean to send this to me. I think I sent you a list of other people. I'm like, this is not for me. So I want to say thank you for inviting me into this this time and space. My people, I'm so grateful. It's the best thing that happened to me today. I want to just remind you that as Black women, we are the survivors. We need ourselves and we need each other. And so I would just want to encourage you to go forth and love yourself like you ain't never loved yourself before. Make yourself think, who is this? Who is this loving me like that? Love yourself strong and hard and long, and then love each other.
Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you all. This was an amazing conversation. It's just the start. Again, please make sure you're reaching out to each other, connecting with each other, supporting each other, being authentic as you can. And please make sure you do your intentional self-care today. Make sure you stop throughout your work days and really love yourself and give yourself some attention. So that we can keep doing this work and keep supporting other folks, other women, other Black people in this movement. We're going to go ahead and close us out for today. Again, please stay tuned. Upcoming events, information, conversations, and definitely get connected with us. We love you all. We appreciate you all so much, and have a great, wonderful night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.